A wonderful, productive, busy day here at the Capitol Annex, and so I want to be cognizant of your time. We will call this meeting 2 of Information, Tourism, Small Business, and Information Technology meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Senator Boswell, Senator Funky Fromeyer, Senator Gardler, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Howell, Senator Mills, Senator Storm, Senator Thomas, Senator Wheeler, Senator Wilson,
Here.
Representative All, here. Representative Baker,
Here.
Representative Dotson,
Here.
Representative Pfister,
Here.
Representative Frazier Gordon,
Yes.
Representative Freeland, Representative Fugit,
Here.
Representative Grossberg, Representative Heath, Representative Kulkarni, Representative Lawrence, Representative Maddox,
Here.
Representative Massaroni,
Here.
Representative McPherson,
Here.
Representative Pollock, Representative Roberts, Representative Stalker,
Present.
Representative Tackett Lafferty,
Here.
Representative Tate, Representative Timoney, Representative Truitt, Representative Wesley, Representative White,
Here.
Representative Wilson, Representative Witten,
Here.
Co-Chair Wise,
Present.
Co-Chair King,
Present.
Co-Chair Pratt.
Present.
We do have a quorum. As we get started, may I have a motion on the minutes from last meeting? And a second?
Second.
All in favor, please concur. Thank you very much. Today's agenda will include some focus information on one of our districts and then also a challenge brought to our attention that we're going to hopefully help some of our districts as they try to develop and support tourism in their area. So we will start with Representative White, if he will approach the table with his guest. And as you get there, please push the button until the green light is illuminated. We will start with Representative White. Everyone will introduce themselves for the record, and the floor is yours, Representative White.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Representative Richard White from Moorhead, representing 99th District, and I'm honored to be here with guests from Moorhead. Jason Sloan is the president of our Chamber of Commerce in Moorhead, and he does a tremendous job bringing industry, promoting our county, and he says if you want to have a business, make money, you need to bring it to Moorhead. And Miss Joy Brown here, she's the head of our tourism in Round County, and which covers, a lot of the surrounding counties also. We have with Cave Run Lake and so, but she does a good job in our county, and I'm going to turn the floor over to them and let them share a little bit what we have going on here in Round County, Kentucky. Joey or Jason?
I'll let you lead it. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. First, thank you for the invitation to come down and speak and to be able to tell you about Moorhead and Rowan County and all the good things that we have going on in Moorhead and Rowan County. I'm going to start to give you a little bit of history to kind of set the story a little bit to where we are today. But we go back to the COVID pandemic of 2020, and a lot of businesses, especially those that are applicable in the tourism industry with your hotels, your restaurants, a lot of those found themselves really struggling to be able to remain open during that period of time and to be able to serve their constituents in their community. And so one of the things that we looked at from the Chamber of Commerce from an economic development perspective was how do we address some of the areas that we are currently finding shortfall in, and how do we create an environment or an ecosystem to really grow small business. So some of the things that I'm going to talk briefly about, and I'll be happy to answer any questions as we conclude. Workforce development. Not a single community, county, city in this state is not struggling with the need for workforce. Childcare. COVID pandemic showed us that what we had prior to as far as resources left us extremely short-handed, creating a burden back to our workforce development efforts, especially when you start looking at single parents. Housing. We started looking at housing in 21 and 22 We actually contracted the same consultant, Bowen National Research, to be able to conduct a study for Rowan County, to be able to look at what exactly we needed and what we were short. And what we found was really staggering. Our numbers in 21-22 by the year 2027 told us that in all forms of housing, from Section 8 all the way to some of the more higher tier living, that we were approximately about 1,600 units short when you look at for sale and when you look at a combined of rental. Some other things that we also looked into was how do we increase those livability options. The Rowan County Physical Court, who was the primary lead, did an incredible effort to try to bring fiber into Rowan County and successfully worked with Windstream Communications to be able to extend fiber to the door of 50% of the households in Rowan County. We put a very aggressive planning process together to be able to really focus on retail, hospitality, and lodging. And the reason why we did that is because Morehead and Rowan County is considered a hub community to all of our surrounding counties and cities, both from a workforce development perspective, as well as from a healthcare perspective, as well as from an education perspective. So we wanted to be able to really focus on that and help to pull outside money or disposable income into Morehead and Rowan County to be able to establish small business. Industrial development. We have a world-class regional industrial park in Morehead and Rowan County that serves 3 counties, Morgan, Menifee, and Rowan. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were able to do is increase those livability options to attract both workforce, to provide worker housing, and to increase those prospects looking to locate and invest in the Commonwealth, but specifically in Morehead and Rowan County. The KPDI program, it's been a great program for our community. We have been able to leverage 4 of those different projects for funding, totaling more than $4.5 million of capital investment into Morehead and Rowan County. That includes 2 build-ready sites and 2 land acquisition projects. The return on that $4.5 million of investment totals more than $143 million and 50 full-time jobs. To go one step further, and I'll close on this, our efforts since the pandemic has allowed us to be able to increase capital spending currently in our city and our county by $250 million currently happening. And so we're very proud of that opportunity. We're very pleased to be able to partner with local businesses, local developers, to be able to find those opportunities to plant those seeds and grow. With that, I'll close and hand it over to Ms. Joy Brown, or I'll entertain any questions that you may have, Madam Chair.
Do we have any questions? Mine's more in the form of a comment, but it's encouraging to know, and I guess just confirmation that the issues and the policies that we're working on statewide actually, directly affect and are a challenge for you all as well. So, nothing out of the ordinary or unique about what we're trying to address statewide. Do we have any questions for Senator Boswell?
I have a question. Did you guys receive any of those ARPA funds for tourism?
I will have to defer that over to my counterpart, Ms. Brown.
We did.
Okay,
We did receive, and I can talk about that here in just a second.
thank you.
Any others? Representative White, please proceed.
Yes, well, thank you, madam, and thank you, Jason, and Miss Joy Brown will share a little bit what she has on tourism for our area, Morehead.
I get to talk about the fun part of the life. With outdoor recreation, we came out of the pandemic really fast and really successful. The reason being is everybody wanted away from their computer screens and they wanted outside. So while it's always been the pillars of our state to be bourbon, horses, and bluegrass, we were able to successfully say bourbon, horses, and outdoor recreation. So we are in the heart of the Daniel Boone National Forest with 700,000 acres of walking trails, of trees and everything in between. Luckily for us, we have an 8,200 acre lake of Cave Run Lake that touches several counties in Representative White's district. And luckily for us, we are the muskie capital of the South. So fishermen come from Wisconsin, from anywhere up north, because we don't freeze over like many of their lakes. So you can fish for that elusive catfish or elusive fish and not get bitten. But luckily for us, we do many travel shows and we bring those fishermen down to our area. When I said that the 700,000 acres encompasses in our area, we have tried to bring all of those people into our area and bring those people that do not recognize county lines. We realized that early on that we can't be a competitor of our counties around us. We have to be a regional asset for those counties. I know that we all struggle to see that, but even in your area of expertise, we can't do that. We have to work collaboratively to partner with each of the counties. Luckily, we also have an art scene. The Kentucky Folk Art Center is right in the heart of our community. We have a historic downtown Moorhead that we now have signage on our interstate, being able to broadcast that. We have some amazing festivals. The Cave Run Storytelling Festival, if you haven't been there, you need to see that because that brings in notable historical storytellers from many areas. Rudy Fest. We bring people from all the way from Hawaii and even into British Columbia that comes to actually see this. We had somebody from Australia come last year. Moorhead State Campus brings people in, and we have worked really hard to not be a backpack and leave on the weekend suitcase community. So I applaud everybody that is successful at that. We have worked diligently for, on my time, 18 years to try to accomplish that, and we have done really well at being able to not be that suitcase college. Additionally, we created a bike and pedestrian improvement project, and we are getting ready to break ground on that. That is not only a community project, that's also a Trail Town project, and the Trail Town project came directly from the state level. We were the third certified Trail Town, and we have successfully created a project. We also have a bike ped plan that's at the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, so hopefully they notify us anytime a big project's coming through and accept those bike pedestrian plans. We are trying to increase both accommodations locally. We work very well with the Chamber, the Economic Development Cabinet. Also, we're trying to increase dining options. We've added several new dining options in town. And in regards to the ARPA money, every time that option came available, we applied for it. We have added several new things to our visitor center. We've added new kiosks, so when people come into town, they see our new website, which our new website was part of that. It's very interactive. People can print off itineraries of things to do. It's almost like you're standing in front of a person, and we don't have a large staff, so that adds to the enjoyment of that. We also were able to advertise in places that we never dreamed. Hemisphere Magazine is one of those places, and that is in United Airlines. So we realized where the routes were taking them, and Huntington Airport, which is just up the road from us, lands right there, and we tried to capture that audience. So those kind of things, ARPA money gave us something that we never dreamed that we could get. So those expenses were well thought out. We strategically planned those, and we would not be where we are today without ARPA money. And the money that the reporting that we're doing, some people would say, wow, the reporting is extensive. I love reporting for it because I love how I spent the money, what it brought to our community, the people that brought to my community. We have increased our economic impact by $2 million because of that ARPA money. And so we're up to $58 million in economic impact. So I'm a firm believer in ARPA funding. I will say at the state level, something that's very near and dear to my heart is the 1% funding that in transient room tax. It's very important that you look at every year during budget time. The 1% that's saved back that's used for marketing with the Kentucky Department of Tourism is vital to our economic funding. I want you to think when budget starts happening and how important it is to my industry, because without that funding from Kentucky Department of Tourism, we can't market the state to the levels that we can. You see every day on the news, on internet, and every place of Ohio advertising in Kentucky. We're going that much stronger in Ohio, and that 1% is what's making that happen. So just think about that and think about that impact. So it makes a difference, and that's how we live, is marketing, and there is a need for tourism everywhere. So I appreciate your time, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. What really got my attention was the fact that you're working regionally or with your bordering counties, and I think that's excellent, especially with the outdoor and walking and biking trails. You're not going to know if you're going necessarily from County A to County B. So I think it's wonderful that you all are working together. We do have a couple of questions, starting with Representative Dotson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I personally love Round County. I was up there a couple of weeks ago, met with Mr. Sloan and the chamber up there, doing a presentation with Representative White. It's always a pleasure to go up there. I just finished a cabin up there and up in the mountains in Round County, and absolutely love it there. It's such a hidden gem. I think more people need to know about it. The thing is that if we could ever get the Army Corps of Engineers to let us build around Cave Run, that place would absolutely explode. The opportunities that lie for that county, I think, there's still just a lot of ground floor opportunity that people just don't realize, and I think it'll become another Red River Gorge type of area. But I think it's just getting the word out there, getting the message across, and so I just want you to know whatever we can do to help, I'm on board with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One thing I can say is we have an agreement with them now that we can bring in an additional partner, not a public-private partner, but we can bring in an additional partner if they want to put some kind of water feature on the lake. They're allowed to do that now. That was a monumental thing that they would never allow. So we're looking at opportunities to put maybe even a zip line across the lake. So even that step forward is a huge step. But any kind of construction on the lake, if I see that need arise or that opportunity, I will definitely come back to this group to say, I need some help. But a lot of people are saying, let's build something. And I've talked to the Corps, and they just look at me, and I'm like, I'd love to have a cabin on the lake. It's beautiful. So thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Representative. And that's actually the very reason we have this group before us today. I realized you all are a hidden gem, and I felt like the members of this to know more about your beautiful area. Representative Tackett Lafferty.
Mine is just a comment. As I spoke with Representative White, I was in your town not too long ago dropping off one of my kids at a camp at Moorhead, and I was so impressed. And when I arrived at the Rock, which when I arrived I realized that was the Rocky Adkins dining complex, to drop off my child, my GPS took me around your town, and it has really, I was very impressed. It's a lovely place. I hadn't been in Moorhead in a very long time, but I just wanted to make that brag because I drove around, and it encouraged me to actually drive around and take a look at other places in town, because I saw things that I saw the street blocked off for some of your businesses downtown, and it was just very lovely, and I would encourage anyone in here to visit.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just one comment. If driving around Moorhead and Rowan County right now, you see all the opportunities, and those opportunities have all come about in the last 18 to 24 months. But it was a lot of planning in each of those areas that I highlighted at the very beginning to kind of set that tone, to address that livability piece in order to really grow small business economic development. And when you get those pieces right in both workforce, housing, and you start addressing the child care components of that, you attract more people. You see those things. Moorhead State University is my alma mater, and I'm a very proud alum. They're getting ready to go under a major transition this summer with a lot of capital construction, and it's really going to open up an incredible amount of more opportunities directly to Eastern Kentucky and to the youth of Eastern Kentucky for higher education. And those things are certainly the funding is from you guys, the legislature. So from my standpoint as the economic developer in the chamber, thank you for providing that opportunity for not only our community but for our university that's right there in our back door.
Representative White, do you have any closing comments, or are there any other questions? Representative Wilson has a question. My apologies.
Thank you. As you mentioned, the Army Corps of Engineers kind of as a roadblock on the water, that brought up a question I had. Being in the Daniel Boone National Forest, and I'm from Whitley County, and bordering McCreary County is in the same situation. It made me curious, are any of these trails on federal land? Do you have to work with anyone in the federal government? And that may be common knowledge, but it's something that I don't know. And all I know is I see license plates from Ohio and Michigan go about 20, 30 miles past me to Tennessee and take all their tourism dollars down there. They ride their side by sides. And I know we have beautiful land in Whitley County for trails like these. So that was what led me to wonder about that when you mentioned the Army Corps.
Well, our lake is owned by the Corps of Engineers and managed by the Forest Service. And all the trails that are, the majority of the trails, including the Sheltowee Trace that runs down our main street, are handled by and managed by the Forest Service and owned by the Forest Service. But luckily for us, we have volunteers that handle all the clearing and everything as part of a partnership with the Forest Service. So what has helped us is that the tourists see those volunteers on the trail, and the volunteers take such pride in it that they act like it's their own. So that's been the biggest advantage for all these county or communities along the trails, is seeing those volunteers out, and they don't realize that that it's owned by the Forest Service. And I know that sounds like kind of a crazy way to look at it, but I've realized that people don't look at it, the Forest Service owns it. There's no signs that say the Forest Service owns it. It just says, this is the Sheltowee Trace, or this is trail number 7. They are not realizing it. And as far as trying to catch those Tennessee people, I just put a billboard up in Corbin. I mean, just come our way. We just capture those people. But we're trying to capture that Tennessee audience because we're watching them. We have systems and programs in place that a lot of tourism agencies along the 75 are watching those people, seeing where they're going. So we're starting to try to pull them back up this way. And Kentucky Tourism is teaching us that, how to pull them back up this way, to not let them go into other states and lose that tourism tax dollars. So we're trying to work that way. So we tried to pull them from Ohio. When we've captured that audience, now we're trying to pull them from Tennessee.
From an economic development perspective, we would love to partner with the Forestry Service and the Corps of Engineers to be able to create opportunities in and around our Cave Run Lake to be very responsible and ensure that there's not a negative environmental impact. And I think you can do that both from a commercial side as well as from a residential side. The proof of that is traveling south to Lake Cumberland or Del Hollow, Laurel River Lake, and you can see a lot of opportunities in and around that lake. I think Cave Run has that same potential, yet can still be preserved for its beauty to be able to enjoy the outdoors at the same time. But we welcome those conversations both here with you folks at the state level, and we've also extended those conversations to the federal level to Senators Paul and McConnell. And I know Senator Paul specifically has certainly had some interest in that. So I agree with you full-heartedly on that. I think there's opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, Representative White and fellow visitors, you have presented a wonderful update on your county, and I think you can tell by the interest of the members of this committee that we're excited and proud of you, and please keep up the good work and keep us updated. Thank you all so much for taking the time to come down and let us know about your beautiful area today.
Thank you for having us.
It's very helpful.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I'm proud to be able to sit here with this committee and let y'all hear a little bit of what we have in our district. And while I'm sitting here with the mic, I'd like to introduce a guest from Elliott County, which is in my
Absolutely.
district, Mr. Ford Howard. He's sitting back here with my wife.
Would you please stand and wave to the committee? Hello. Thank you for making the trip down today. Thank you for being here
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
with the First Lady of Rowan County back there, Mrs. White. Thank you all so much for being here today. As our next presenters come to the table, it's been brought to our attention for discussion of we want these local tourist and tourism boards in place, but there are a few barriers, and maybe we're going to discuss that today, maybe an easy fix to help alleviate some of those consequences. So no stranger to the General Assembly. We have our former colleague, John Sims, with us today, currently serving as the Judge Executive in Fleming County. Would you please introduce yourself formally and your guest, and please tell us a little bit about what your challenge is and maybe what we can do to address that next session.
Absolutely, Chairwoman King. Thanks for having us today. Coming up with myself is the Mayor of Flemingsburg, Van Alexander. Today we're here to talk about KRS 91A-360. It has to do with tourist and convention commissions. First, I want to thank Representative King for her help on this, and the LRC staff also for taking this. They're a big part of that. It's a simple bill, as they all say they all are, but this one is a really simple bill. It strikes out the word jurisdiction in Section A and Section B of the bill and puts county or city. And what that will allow to do will the local elected official, the chief official, to appoint persons to the Tourism or Commission Board. Because the way it's written now for the mayor here, he can only appoint folks who live in the city that own a restaurant or a hotel. And you take Flemingsburg, we do not have a hotel in Flemingsburg. We have Airbnbs that qualify as a hotel, but that lady lives out of the city. So that's kind of a roadblock that we ran into there. But with this change, it will still allow that the mayor or the judge to pick, somebody in the city or somebody in the county. It gives more flexibility. With that, we're open to questions. Pretty simple.
Thank you for explaining the challenge that you have, and you've got some good people you would like to appoint to these service positions, but that is just a little bit of a barrier. So I do have the printed version of that existing statute in front of me, and Judge Executive Sims is exactly right. Just consider and think about me mulling over before session starts. If we struck jurisdiction and replaced it with county or city, can you think of any initial reason why that might, not be a good idea? I wanted to get it in front of this committee so this many members would be familiar with it when session starts. We have a question from Senator Boswell.
And I'm assuming that would be still with the consent of the city commission, and not
Sure.
just the mayor, and
Correct.
the fiscal court, also with the majority members of the
The way
fiscal court.
the law is written, Senator, it's actually doesn't require council or court approval. I mean, usually, I know the mayor does bring it from his city council to vote on, let them know what's going on, keep them in the loop. But by law, he's allowed to make that appointment on his own.
And in this case, and the last question is, if I may, so does a person still have to live within the county? Because you have city, county. They
Sure,
still have
yes.
to live within the county.
In the county, right, yeah. Like we can't, somebody from Round County, they can't appoint to serve on the Flemingsburg Tourism Commission.
Any other thoughts? Again, this is for us to kind of do our homework so we'll be prepared in January.
All right.
Last call.
I'll say I don't
Senator
like-
Boswell.
I don't like unilateral decisions without permission, and in general, I'm not saying in this particular, but I like, in most cases, that there be approval by the body. So this not be the case here, but in general, as we're talking about cases like this,
Absolutely.
about appointment power, for me personally, I've seen some situations in my time where a judge, executive, or mayor made appointment that I wasn't necessarily fond of, and I think
Absolutely.
as a representative of the community, as elected representatives, the commission, both city and the county, should have some say-so as a general rule.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Transparency.
Representative Pfister.
I want to thank you all for coming out and giving your presentation. And I want to build on what Senator Boswell was asking. Is there a reason we shouldn't add that to any changes we make in this?
You can, because I know for myself and also the mayor, airport board appointments do not require approval by the council or the court. That's in a different KRS. I'm not sure where that is, but I know on those board appointments, some of them you have to approve before the council or the court, and some you do not.
I think if we're going to take a look at this KRS and maybe amend it, might be a good idea to fix it all at one time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, you can comment?
Any other questions or comments?
If I can add,
Absolutely,
also,
yes,
we appreciate
please.
you letting us come before us today, and I think that it's very important to build economic growth, and with tourism, that we have the county and the city involved together much more than maybe we do, and even having the council and the fiscal court have a decision to help the mayor and the judge to make these important decisions on people that's going to serve as tourism people, because that's economic growth. And I think it very much needs to be looked at, if you would, please. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention earlier this summer. I'm glad you all were able to schedule to be here with us today, and now at least this many members of the General Assembly have some background and understand the issue and what we think could be a fairly easy fix to this. So stay tuned, everyone.
All right.
And thank you all so much for being here today.
Appreciate everybody.
Thank you all.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
As always, LRC staff is always going above and beyond. I would like to draw members' attention to the remaining interim meeting dates that are included. I think that's very helpful for scheduling our many busy activities. So thank you all for providing those. You can see those listed on your agenda. Are there any other comments or anything before we adjourn? Okay, Lord willing, we'll see you August the 29th at 1. Thank you. Have a good day.